Hello everybody and welcome to episode 3 of the Contest Realm podcast. I have brilliant news. We are now available on iTunes after much demand, also on YouTube, SoundCloud and Spotify. All links are going to be in the bio as well as the info for our guests today. So this is the third episode, and obviously as you know at this moment in time the community has smashed it with what they've done for Stop the Fires in Australia. The community event is just absolutely insane with the support. And if you've been keeping up to date with the live streams, you've been thoroughly entertained. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my glamorous, always glamorous co-host. And I must say sorry for last week because he is important. He's important to me and he's important to everybody else. And that is Dan, Frontline MCOC. Welcome, my fellow co-host. And I still love you.
Oh, thank you, Rich. It is good to be talking to you again. Excited for episode 3 and just really inspired by what we saw the community pull off this weekend with raising over $14,000 for the Australian Red Cross.
Oh, absolutely. It's been amazing. And we'll probably go into a bit more about this, but it's just been a complete whirlwind. Not waxed, but I kind of had a face mask which I peeled off, which people donated for. So it's been pretty fun. But this episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of things. Maybe a bit of champion balances. Definitely 25.3 in the February events, the romance calendar, all those kind of lovely things. Mojo Dome and things like that. But I must introduce now our guest. Our second ever guest. She is the queen of the contest. The finest Emma Frost in all the land. Look out, world! Here's Katy Candy from Candyland!
What's going on, Rich? How you doing, Dan?
Hi.
That was a marvelous introduction.
Well, that's the reason I was late for the kind of doing the podcast, because I was like, I need to do a big intro. I did Metal Sonic Dude. I need to continue this on. And I was thinking, what do I do? I don't know. But there you go.
Yeah, we got to give Katy the hype, right?
Yeah, I think every guest now deserves a hype, which is going to be a bit worrying when we get Kabam Mike and Kabam Thel. I'm going to have to I think I'm going to call Kabam Mike, the scourge of the forums.
Do it.
I'm sure he would embrace that title.
I feel like he would.
That may or may not be.
He would probably get them to make that an in-game title so that he could put it on his profile. he would like that so much. I mean, he wears that as a badge of honor. And as you have pointed out many times, Mike, the feistiness is through the roof right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, right. Well, that's kind of I want to find out more about Katy. And Katy, you've just hit 10k subscribers on YouTube. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who has subbed to me, because I wouldn't have hit that without you guys.
Oh, okay. But we got to find out.
And
more
that is such a big number.
It's a huge number.
I mean, that's the thing when you get into. I think when you're just watching videos when you're first coming in the community, you're like, oh, this person has this many thousand subscribers, or 10,000, or even 5,000. And then when you actually start doing it yourself and the clicks start coming in one at a time, it is a slow burn. So congratulations for sticking with it and hitting 10K.
Thank you so much. It's been one heck of a ride, that's for sure.
Right. Well, first thing is, what got you into playing Marvel Contest of Champions in first place, and when was it?
So it was nearly 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years ago, either this month or next month. I'm not totally sure. But I was dating this guy, and he was like, hey, you like Marvel and you like video games. You should play this game, because we saw an ad for it when we were watching TV one time. And I was like, no. And he was like, come on, let's do it. So I was like, all right. So he and I both started playing it. And long story short, the game survived. The relationship didn't.
Oh,
it's fine.
I think
it's fine.
MCOC becomes a dependable boyfriend.
It does, right? I mean, you get irritated at it when you get bad pulls, or when you lose a fight. You get happy with it when you get really, satisfied when you get good crystal pulls. It's totally like a relationship.
This is why that next month, Kabam put that thing about that. They put in the news. It said the next month we're about seducing you, and I was thinking, why have they put seducing in their kind of news? What's that about?
I don't know. Kabam's getting kind of smutty there, aren't they?
I know. Maybe they're watching me too much.
Maybe.
Okay. Favorite champion at the moment?
I really enjoy Warlock. He is one of my favorites to play with. I mean, he's just like the Swiss Army knife, so to speak, for the game, and he's a lot of fun. I'm super happy that I did the grind for him and I got him, and I just love playing that techno-organic alien dude.
Oh, that is a champion I do want to get. Dan, have you got?
I have not. I am sitting on a tech gem just hoping to pull that guy because I'm so jealous. He just makes everyone's life easier.
He really does.
I would really like to have that in my game experience.
Yeah. Sidewinding a bit, what got you into doing YouTube in the first place?
So it all started way back when. No, I had made a video for Slice'em to put on his channel. And then after that, I kind of like enjoyed the video editing that went along with it. So I was like, you know what? Let's see how far I can push this. And here I am today now with 10K subs, and I can't believe it. So it just started out with one little video, and here we are now.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, like I do appreciate like effort and time that goes into videos. I've said this before to you in particular. Is that something that you kind of think in the future you'd like to do something more in kind of like a documentary type vibe, or kind of still stick to gaming for your channel?
I'd probably still stick to gaming, although my friends told me I should like do like a wildlife show.
Oh.
But I was like, no, I can't do that. But I'll probably still stick to gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, something a bit out of the blue. I did miss off this question I was going to ask earlier, but without giving too much details away, because I know it's kind of like it is personal. What kind of work do you do?
Sure. No, I've said it before on my streams. I'm an environmental engineer focusing more on the nuclear side of the environment. So I deal heavily with radiation and radiation protection.
That's so impressive. See, my background is just mainly like business and business management, but it's like that I would have loved to have done something that is kind of good in regards of like looking at our footprints as human beings on this planet. So yeah, that's pretty impressive. Okay, favorite. Sorry,
pretty cool. No, you're fine. No, you're fine. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy what I do. So.
Where I'm from, we would say that you are wicked smart. It's like you're like, just doing a little stuff, nuclear radiation levels, no big deal. I'm gonna do some gaming live streams. It's all cool. And it's like you say that nonchalantly. And it's like that's pretty impressive.
Well, thank you.
Would you ever consider doing YouTube full time, or is it a case you like the career that you're doing at the moment?
I like the career that I'm doing at the moment. I like the health benefits.
Yeah, no, that's a good. I mean, we don't have that kind of. We obviously got the NHS here in the UK, so it's not something to be overly concerned about. But I think definitely in your position is there's definitely benefits to being associated with a company.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, Rich.
Sorry.
I was going to say, Rich. YouTube's 401k plan, not exactly so at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of like it because YouTube's such Marvel Contest Champion is such a niche in a niche. I think there's only very few amount. I mean, I'm doing fine doing this full time, but there's times where you do kind of think to yourself, oh, was this the right decision to make? But you just have to take it day by day, week by week, month by month.
That's right.
Okay, favorite moment from New York Comic Con 2019, and are you planning to go to 2020?
Favorite moment from 2019 was probably watching Metal Sonic Dude just wreck the Beat the Boss challenge. That was epic. And going in with She-Hulk, like that was epic with since they use the 6.2.6 champion boss, and he just smashed it. Like, I know I was recording, my friend with me was recording, and I was just like yelling.
Yeah. That was so much fun.
At the top of my lungs. Yeah, it was epic. I do plan on going this year to Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con 2020. So I hope to see everyone who is going to be there.
And a new cosplay, or?
Yes.
Brilliant. Anything? So you're going to keep that locked in? I do like a little surprise though.
I'm probably going to. So last year I cosplayed 2 days. This year I'm going to cosplay 3 days.
Wow.
So yeah, I've got some. I want to see who they introduce in the contest, female character wise, and kind of go from there. But there are some that I do want to do. Like, I do really want to do Dazzler.
Oh yeah.
And
nice.
yeah. And I would kind of like to do a Hellfire Emma, since I did the White Queen Emma last year. So why not do the Hellfire Club Emma? So I'm throwing some ideas around in my head.
Okay, cool. Right, Dan, I think we better get into the show and talk a little bit about next month.
Yes, it is a new month in Marvel Contest of Champions. The game update for 25.3 will be out shortly, probably tomorrow on Monday, February 3rd. So we've got new champions coming, new character balancing, and new quests. So we're going to give you the preview of 25.3 now.
Okay, Katy, thoughts on the 2 new champions, Longshot, Mojo, rumored to be Mystics. Thoughts on them?
They are rumored to be Mystics, and I'm actually okay with that. Since, like, I know everyone's saying that Longshot should be a mutant because he's genetically engineered, but his powers to manipulate the probability fields, those were actually mystically augmented in him. So for me, it makes sense that he would be Mystic. Now, what I would really like for Mojo, even though Mojo does use the Mystic arts, I would kind of like him to be a mixture of Cosmic and Mystic. Now, I know that was kind of like a failed with Karnak and Unstoppable Colossus, the 2 classes. But I really would have liked to see them try that with Mojo and then it actually work. So yeah, I'm super happy they're coming, because that also leads to potentially, who I said before that I might cosplay as Dazzler and Star Shatter. So that makes me super happy that Mojo and Longshot are in here, because then we could get Dazzler.
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, I'm watching like X-Men animated series, which finally in 2 months' time, no, next month we get it in the UK. We get Disney Plus, so I can actually binge watch the entire series of them. And the like tie-ins and stuff that I kind of watched when I was younger. But yeah, I don't know. Like, when it comes to Longshot, I thought they might have done him as a science based on like him being like a test tube baby. But I think it makes more sense with the. Would we say, guys, that there's a lack of Mystics and like these two solve that problem?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, we do know that the complaint is that the Mystic class has been underperforming for a long time. Certainly Clairvoyant and Doom have been steps in the right direction, but they could still use a little bit of help. I mean, part of me looks at it like, oh, look we're getting an X-Men event with no mutants. Yeah. But the other part is, let's face it, the mutant class is absolutely stacked right now. They don't need the help. And I do really like Longshot, and Mojo I love as a character. Yeah. And he fits into what the Battle Realm is all about so well, because he's this he kind of is like a collector in his way. He collects X-Men from different universes and makes them fight in gladiatorial combat, so that he can get great ratings for his TV show. Yeah. So he's basically a much more capitalist version of the collector. I think he's going to fit right into the story, and it's going to be interesting to see if any of the champions currently in the Battle Realm have met Mojo before. How the X-Men will react to Mojo showing up. Is there some history there that we don't know about? So I think from a story angle, I'm very excited to see what they do with Mojo.
Sorry.
I am too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
I don't know if you're going to lead on to the same thing as saying that, well, would this be a potential lost opportunity if Kabamba don't capitalize on this as being another competitor? Rather, obviously saying, okay, so we've got elders, so we've got the likes of Collector Grandmaster, but what if we had a Mojo actually in some kind of ways as being what kicks off Act 7, or how Act 6.4 ends the point of, say, what Act 7 or a different type of story structure begins?
Oh, that's a good theory. I didn't even like think about something like that. I was so excited to like kind of think about how their interactions would be with other champions and what their abilities would be that I didn't even like think about something like that.
Yeah, and there's still question marks on the actual map of the battle realm as far as the territory. So could the Mojo verse be one of those question marks? It would make sense that Mojo could have his own territory.
It very well could, which would be epic.
Yeah, maybe that's something that he could. I don't know how the whole kind of Kabam universe of Marvel Realm and Marvel Contest of Champions link together. That, and I know that they've said that obviously they're cross games, they'll link together. There'll be some champions from the Marvel Realm that will be in Marvel Contest of Champions. But yeah, if Mojo was able to factor into some sort of controlling aspect, and it does make me think, because there's in that puzzle, there are something close to the mutant area. There is something that links and opens up Marvel Realm to Marvel Contest of Champions. So maybe the idea that Mojo is actually looking at characters within Marvel Realm to bring them into his Mojo-verse. That would be exciting.
That would be fun. I would be excited for that.
You know, as far as abilities, I haven't looked to see if anything's come out. Longshot obviously has that huge luck factor, so I know everyone's a little nervous because of how Domino turned out and what they did with her luck abilities. And I've heard people say, "Oh, Longshot will probably be the attacker and Mojo will probably be the defender." But I'm wondering if we could have two champions that could be kind of switch hitters in a way. Like if you look at a Domino or a Sentinel, those are champions that have offensive and defensive abilities and value in the contest. I'm wondering if Longshot and Mojo will be the same way.
That's a good question, and I know it's been brought up before. Will Longshot be essentially Domino version 2.0? That's kind of where a lot of people are like, is he going to be like that? Because he's going to have the luck. He has regen in the comics, so I mean that would be great if they would give him that. I would like to see them kind of have him have an advantage. So you know how like Magneto has the ability accuracy over Champs. I would like to see Longshot have an ability. Oh my gosh, I can't form a sentence right now. I'm so sorry. I would like to see Longshot have an increased ability accuracy over female champs, because in the comics he essentially can make every female character fall in love with him. Ooh. So I think that would be kind of a really cool mechanic if Kabam threw that in there. So
well, that would be interesting. Mm-hmm. And we know that from the comics, Longshot is he doesn't have energy blast, but he does throw projectile weapons a lot. He's a little bit like Bullseye in that way,
yes,
where he never seems to miss. So any champion that has projectile attacks usually has some sort of defensive value, just because there's something harder to dodge. So I wouldn't be surprised if Longshot, if his luck allows him to evade and he has any sort of projectile specials to dodge, then he's going to have at least some value on defense. But I'm very interested to see what they do with him, because he is a pretty cool character.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, allows you to go absolutely insane, because he's basically a techno slug with mind control and a scorpion tail. So he's, they're called the spineless ones. So there's like not even a skeleton there. Like you can get really out there with Mojo. So hopefully the designers did not hold back, because there's just so much freedom with a character like Mojo.
Yeah. You really could. And like with Mojo too, like he is he is immune to Rogue's powers. So it would be kind of cool if he had like a thing where you can't life steal him, with characters like Rogue. And then he should definitely have like some sort of degen, since anytime he's around, plants wither and die, like people age at a rapid rate. So I think things like that, if they could add, if they added that to him, would be really kind of cool.
Would that be like a degen? Would they?
Yeah, it'd be like a degen. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll give him reverse controls or some sort of mental powers as well. We haven't seen another reverse controls champion since Emma, and I know they've used it for nodes, but it's not often you see them use an ability just for one champion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think just Kabam are hitting it out the park when it comes to building and designing these characters. The way that they've put together I don't really like the mechanical base, the legs. They're just so intricate to a point where it's just okay. You look back about 3 years ago, and they don't look as good as they do now. Regardless if Kabam mess up a few things down the line with other things, they're building characters from a look perspective and animations in such a unique way that it's just so impressive.
I mean, you can even look at Human Torch. Like, he'll wink and he'll look worried when he gets hit. So, like, it's even just the small little details like that those developers really put their heart and soul into these champions. So that makes me so happy when they're really good, and it makes my heart go out to them when they kind of fail.
Yeah, because it's like they put all this work into it. Like, look at how gorgeous Nova is. Like, just the suit and the armor and how those energy blasts look and the block animations, and everyone's just like, as far as wanting the champion, because the champion's abilities haven't really lined up yet with what we're looking for from a champion to invest all these resources in. But as far as the art and the animation of the character go, it's extraordinary what they're accomplishing in a mobile game, and I think it's one of my favorite parts. And it's just amazing how they continue to impress us and raise the bar there. Mojo is one I'm really interested to see how his dash animations work, because he doesn't have normal human legs. He has these sort of like metal, like, just tripod-y thing. So I'm wondering how quick he's going to be dashing around. He's going to be a very interesting champion to drive. We don't quite have anyone like him.
Right. I'm interested. I'm very interested. I can't wait to see what they're going to be like and what they're going to have and how they're going to do it. Like I'm just super pumped. I love seeing new champions. It always makes me anxious. And so I can't wait.
Yeah. Are you going to be doing your comic book histories on Mojo and Longshot as usual?
Yes.
Excellent.
So
I enjoy those. And, and I know you're a comic lore nerd too. So it's always fun to talk about what the champion was in the comics and talk about how it transitions into the game.
Yeah, and something I should say and kind of point it to everybody is myself and Katy spoke at New York Comic Con, and something that we both agreed, because not many people are putting out those type of videos. Like, she very kindly, and no one really has to do this, but if anybody wants to do videos like this, please do it. You don't feel like anybody's treading on my toes, but make sure you go and support Katy when she puts those videos out. She puts time and effort into them. Please go and watch those videos that she puts out, because it is important. You learn about the champions coming into the game as well.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that, man. And I just like to see how well, like, they tie in. What aspects do they bring from the comics? What aspects does Kabam bring from the character, from the comics into the game? And what stuff have they kind of tweaked, or maybe like any important things that a champion has that they had in the comics and they don't have in the game? I kind of feel like I kind of want to showcase, what was done well and what maybe could have been done better, that sort of thing.
I like that, because you did the Nova one recently. That was a very good video.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, should we move on and talk about balancing?
Ooh, always a fun topic.
God, that has dominated the discussion for so long. And it was really interesting because I felt like there was this huge buildup of emotion in the community for the last couple months about it, and then they posted what was really going to happen, and it just kind of all went poof.
Yeah.
And for the most part went away. But I don't really want to get into too much about the actual numbers tweaks, but I think we should have a good discussion about the process, about how we feel about the information released and what to expect going forward with balancing. So first off, Katy, now you are not in the CCP. So Rich and I had kind of gotten some previews from the CCP as far as to like what the communication was going to be. So we can't pretend to be surprised by the announcement. But
Right.
What did you think when they finally released the real, official, concrete information and schedule about what was going to happen?
First off, I was blown away by the compensation package if you chose to sell those champs. I was not expecting that. I honestly,
it's unprecedented.
It really is. So I was just like, whoa. And then when I started reading what they were actually going to be doing, I was like, this isn't really all that bad. So like, I know a lot of people, when they first announced that Namor and Cull were getting changed, that they were getting tweaked. A lot of the pitchforks came out, and I always kind of have a tendency to wait to see before I go to like any rash conclusions, because we don't know, right? Like at that point in time, before anything was introduced, we didn't know. So I don't want to like just jump to conclusions, but I thought their compensation package, if you want to sell the champ, which is crazy, was outstanding. I fully wasn't expecting anything like that. So that was just crazy to me. But I do like that they did come out and, tell us what exactly was going to be changing. I feel as if, though, they should have, like, I understand they can't, it took some time till they were going to get the numbers and that sort of thing. But I feel like they should have maybe not come out so earlier and said that the balance changes were going to occur, and then a few months down, say what exactly the balance changes were, because I think that led to a lot of hype. And like I said before, like people getting their pitchforks ready.
Well, yeah, that was the issue with the Chinese. Nobody really knew about the Namor balance change until the Chinese forum got informed before the Western side, which I thought was a bit peculiar, and I think it didn't start it too well. But
no.
No, and of course that information came out at about 11 p.m. Eastern on Christmas Day, which is not a great time to have staff on hand to respond to questions. So kind of just hung out there. Like there was just no one working at Kabam to communicate when that first dropped. So it kind of became that perfect storm of what's going on, and people assume that silence equals a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And I think we as a community need to kind of not jump to so many rash conclusions right away.
Right.
I kind of feel like I know I'm guilty of doing it sometimes, but I think we just need to kind of take a step back and say, okay, wait, what exactly is going on? Maybe we need to maybe get an official statement before just jumping to all kinds of conclusions.
Right. And hopefully, like Rich alluded to, this process, it did take too long, and I believe that it took too long because they wanted to absorb a lot of feedback that they were getting on how this was going to work and come up with compensation. I'm much happier that this took 6 months and the compensation is what it is, rather than having it come out 3 months ago without this compensation and this level of detail in the posts. If they had to take longer to get it right, I think that was worth it.
I agree. My only concern is, and there's no way for Kabam to go and do this, is for the people who actually spent all of the money on either the Cull or the Namor crystals, or also the people who grinded, for champions and spent, because you can't get your time back, right?
Yeah.
You can get the sig levels, you can get the gems, you can get that back, but you can't get your time and you can't get your money back. So that's the only kind of like downfall of it. Is this still a really good compensation package? Absolutely. So it is a step in a right direction. I think it might be a little bit overkill for these two champions, but I still think it was really a good step in the right direction by Kabam.
Yeah, I mean, the Cav crystals are hard because you also, even if you don't get the champion, let's say you pop 20 crystals and you get Namor twice, well, there's still 18 other champions you did pull, and maybe you got some 5 or 6 stars, and you've been using those. So,
right.
I mean, how do you adjust that? Now, the arena thing, I agree that's actually trickier for me because you've done those grinds. You know about the time and money it takes to put up 95 million points for Silver Surfer. And there's no side benefits to that for you. It's not like you popped 20 Cavalier crystals at the chance of getting that champion and you got other champions. You're clearly targeting the one champion that's in the arena. If you do that, like there's no other argument. If you're an arena grinder and your champion is heavily nerfed, there's really no way to make you whole. But I can understand someone being really, really upset about that. Thankfully, these balance updates don't seem to be too bad. I know everyone was saying as long as they don't touch Namor's sig ability, we'll be fine at the end of the day, and they didn't touch it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I
think that's the thing, isn't it? Reserving judgment until they come out to test, and then maybe pitchforks.
Right. And these balancing changes are going to go live with the new update, and then there's going to be about a week of, quote unquote testing before you're going to be able to sell the champion. So I'm not a Cull owner or a Namor owner, but I'm very interested to see the feedback from those people in that window between when they can test the champions and when they can sell the champions. I don't think too many people will sell Namor. Honestly, I think if Cull was not changed and this compensation package was still offered, a lot of Cull owners would still sell the champion even if he hadn't been changed, because that champion got so overhyped when he came out, and he just didn't end up being what we thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I have a Cull. I have a 5-star Cull, and he's been sitting at rank 2 since I got him.
Right.
So I'm just not a fan of him. I'm more of a fan of champions with a lot of utility, and for me, Cull doesn't have the utility that I'm looking for because I do run suicides and he is not very suicide friendly. So for me, he's not my cup of tea. So really this whole compensation thing with Cull isn't going to affect me because I really didn't put anything into him. He's just, for me, another champ for arena points. But I do know people that have like Fark. He's got a rank 2 6-star Cull, and I think he said he was going to sell him.
Do you find that, I mean, I get this sometimes, I get too burnt out with hype of a certain champion to a point when I get it, I care less, and especially like you said, I seem to be now focusing more on the utility side as opposed to champions that are very kind of cut and paste, very easy to get on with champions.
Yeah, because like for sometimes too with the overhyped champs, like if I want a champion and I'm going to grind for him, then that comes to another point where I'm like, okay, how much am I going to need to put up in the arena? Do I really want to take the time to now Silver Surfer? I did it because A, I really liked Silver Surfer in the comics, and B, I really needed to help my prestige out. So, but would I be willing to do it for? Would I be willing to put up 95 million points for a champion that was overhyped, that a lot of people were going to go for, that really didn't fit my playstyle, that didn't have something else that I needed? Probably not.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to those types of things.
Because that then puts you into a point where, because you've done the excessive work, you're obliged to make that a lead champion for X reasons, playstyle or prestige. So yeah, that's another point. I think it's good that people kind of go like, I mean, people say that I'm talk about the King Groot factor. And it's just like, well, look, it was an off the cuff remark when the current meta I think was different, and now things have changed. I mean, I could say now one of my favorite champions or the best ones to use, or I'd love to kind of like be around my name, was my rank 2 Cat Marvel movie, or my high signature 565 Doctor Doom, but you know, I don't want to. I'm not obliged to play those 2 champions. I think they're amazing champions, and they fit my playstyle. It's quite aggressive and brawler-ish.
Yeah, Rich, you're taking a hit to give a hit, aren't you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now we've talked a lot about Namor and Cull, and that's been the main concern, but there's 2 champions that aren't being altered at all, Ronan and Invisible Woman, but there's actually 3 champions that are getting a buff, and this is the positive side of balancing, that Ebony Maw, Human Torch, and Annihilus are all going to be improved. So that's 3 champions that are in a lot of people's rosters that are going to be more valuable in another couple of days, and especially with Human Torch, that is a young man with stock on the rise with Abyss coming out. So it's very interesting to see. Human Torch was not well regarded when he came out, and we're almost a year after release with him now, and you can just see like everyone wants a Human Torch, and I want to do Abyss someday, which means I need a Human Torch to make my life easier.
Yeah, I think for me the 2 interesting ones are Annihilus and Ebony Maw, because I don't have Human Torch, and I don't really have an Annihilus at high starage, but still, for the point of just going, well, what does that increase of Fury time? How does that benefit? Is the champion going to be better for me to use from attacking perspective rather than a defensive? But I guess the Ebony Maw thing is a bit more complex, because I think still people aren't overly impressed with what it can do. What are your thoughts, Katy?
I'm really hoping that Ebony Maw gets the best buff out of these 3, because I feel like Maw needs it the most, right? Like Annihilus and Torch, they were so good without it, right? But Maw is kind of at this point, before he has the buff, he's kind of the laughing joke. Like, people call him Ebony Slaw and Coleslaw Hands and, Pillow Hands. So I'm interested to see what he can do. Will it make him a better defender? Probably. Will it make him for something that you can use besides just like arena points, or sticking him on defense just for aggravation? So that's kind of where I want to see. Will he be good for questing? That sort of thing. I really want to see how it all comes together, because like if I'm just looking at numbers, I'm more of a hands-on type person. Yeah. So you can spout numbers off at me all day, and I won't see it until I actually like get my hands on it.
Right. It has to feel good. It's like, it's like this crit, this number, and it's very different when you're actually driving the champion and you pop off a special 2, and you're like, whether that feels good or it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like that. That was the thing with like testing out Nova. It's like you throw a special in it, you felt like nothing happened. It's like, oh, that doesn't feel very good. But you could pull a Sunspot and know nothing about the champion, and if you just throw your first special 2, you're going to be like, this is a good time. I need to take another look at this guy. So yeah, I'm very much the same way. It's like, yeah, we do want the numbers, but when that health bar is going down on the defender, whether it's going down at an acceptable rate that makes the game fun.
Right. Exactly.
I guess it's that big yellow numbers thing.
we love those big yellow numbers.
Yes, big yellow numbers. So, I think we've done a good job covering kind of what's happening with the balancing updates, and we're assuming that they're going to continue. If they do in order, these are the next 6 champions that would be up for balancing: Stealth Spider-Man, Mysterio, Sunspot, Warlock, Clairvoyant, and Vision Arcus. And at least with Sunspot, Warlock, Clairvoyant, and I'll even throw in Stealth Spider-Man, those are 4 champions that I feel like people have invested in heavily over the past 6 months. They all have awesome utility. We're seeing Stealth Spider-Man as a Abyss option. Obviously, Sunspot is Captain Prestige right now and the big yellow numbers. Warlock is the utility god, and Clairvoyant, kind of the same thing, right? Like she's just an awesome utility champ. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, because those are 4 champions that are very, very popular right now. Those are champions that people were going after in the featured 5-star crystal for the last couple months. And I know personally, I used an Awakening Gem and put 200 Sig Stones in Sunspot. So,
nice.
Yeah, I'm happy with him right now, but of course, very, very curious to see if they're going to do anything to him and what that would be.
Yeah, I would like them not to.
and I don't think Sunspot is a champion that needs to be balanced. A, because I own him, and but B, because he, like Corvus, is a champion that's on a timer.
Right.
You can't do that damage all day. You're not seeing Sunspot blitzing through the Abyss. He has some use in AQ and AW, but it is somewhat selective. I will say that he has been a beast in Act 6 for me. I've been making a big push in 6.1 right now for 100%, and he's just been awesome. So, he's certainly a champion that has a lot of uses and is worth a 565. I don't think anyone would dispute that, but I feel he's balanced in the way that he's on a timer and you can't do his best damage all day long. You do need shorter fights, and you do need to ramp him up to a certain power level to get that damage. It's a unique play style. There's some skill involved. So that's kind of my that's my plug for not balancing Sunspot.
But this kind of brings on to a good point, and something I was going to cover in a video. Is it right for us as a community to feel, let's face it, worried about what may happen to... obviously, we've got these compensation packages, but are we in a place and it's fair to be worried about champions, or ever feel worried about a game that we're meant to be playing?
I think we're already at that point, because if you look when Clairvoyant was released, right, that's when they started introducing these balancing updates, that they were going to tweak champions after a certain period from when they were released. So when Clairvoyant was released, I looked at her and I was like, wow, this chick has great sustainability, right? Yeah. When I saw her, I was like, she's got great sustainability. But all I kept seeing was, when is Kabam going to nerf her? Yeah. So I think we're kind of already to that point. And it honestly, like, for things like that, it makes me nervous to rank up a champ. And I know, talking to other people, it makes them nervous too, because you're investing all of these resources into these champs for a potential for them to be quote unquote balanced, even if we may already see them as being balanced. So for me, like, I'm nervous about Warlock.
I'm sure a lot of people are.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one champion right now that I'm like, please, Kabam, don't touch him. He doesn't need it. He really doesn't need it.
Yeah. I mean, I think worry is maybe too strong of a word. I mean, clearly I knew what I was doing when I ranked up Sunspot and threw all those resources in him. And Katy, same thing. You've done that with Warlock and Silver Surfer now. Post balancing. So although I wouldn't be too worried about Silver Surfer.
I'm not worried about Surfer.
Hopefully he's going to get a little nudge in the right direction. But the other part of it is, if you're an early adopter of the champion, you do get gameplay out of them. Like, let's just say that Sunspot does get dinged up. If I use him to 100% 6.1 and make some good progress into 6.2, and then he gets down-tuned a little bit. Well, that was still pretty helpful to get that done. So in a way, this the early adopters aren't as hurt as much as you would think, because they get all this gameplay and advancement and extra rewards out of the champions as they're first released.
Very true. I don't think Sunspot would get hit, to be honest, because he's one of those champs like Corvus where you're on a timer, number one. And number two, you have to be really good at maintaining your solar charges, converting them into solar flares, by launching your special 1. And then cycling between your special 3 and your special 1 to get to your special 2, to multiple special 1s to get to that one big special 2. So there's some skill involved in doing that. There's a lot going on, so you have to be able to manage that wisely. So I don't think that would happen. It's kind of like the same reason why like Ghost doesn't get nerfed. There's a high skill that comes with playing Ghost. They just instead introduced nodes to counter her. Yeah. And then Aegon, you've got Aegon. You've got to be able to hold your combo with Aegon. If you can't hold your combo, you're not going to be able to get the benefit out of him. Mm-hmm. And with Quake, they'll never. I don't think. Oh, I don't want to never say never, but I don't think they would nerf Quake for the same regard as it takes skill to play her. I mean, we've all seen me get punched in the face playing Quake. So I think
Quake is a different game. Yeah.
But I think like if you have these high damage dealing champs that kind of take a certain skill to play, I think those ones are going to be more safe than ones that are just kind of like the plug and chug, so to speak, where you just kind of tap, swipe, go ham.
Right, exactly. So, and recently, I feel like they've done a good job with the champions post Namor as far as how they've been released. I mean, let's face it, when Colin Namor came out, we all lost our minds. When those champions came out, right? Like it was everybody's video was next God tier, next Beyond God tier. Oh my goodness, I need these champions. And while there's been champions that have been very popular since then, I don't think we've had the collective freak out about anybody to that level since then.
Right, I agree. With the exception of maybe Doom. Doom was kind of pretty hyped up, pretty good.
Yeah, I think that was more about it being Dr. Doom, so not what Dr. Doom was doing. I think initially people were disappointed with Doom until Dave and Legacy were like, this is how you Dr. Doom. And then people were like, oh, we get it. And now, of course, there's the Abyss and everyone's going nuts. But, I think Guillotine 2099 was probably the most hyped champion of the last 6 months. I mean, we were all predicting that she was going to be the Queen of the Abyss, and that turned out to be nothing.
Right.
But do you think that's because of the stage that she was not introduced, but the way that the New York Comic Con fell so uniquely in that point as being like, oh, here's a 6-star, it's before release.
Right.
I kind of do. I kind of feel like that her hype was built around Comic-Con.
Oh, for sure. And she was the third champion of the month. Neither Elsa or Man-Thing were really getting much hype. And before that, it had been Arcus. So we had gone through a bit of a lull in champion release as far as hype level. So I think by the time we had Comic-Con, Gilly 2099, she looked cool. Kabam goes all out with their custom characters.
Yes.
So yeah, there was certainly a lot of hype about Guillotine 2099.
Right. We should talk about what's coming in February. The other things.
Right. So we know what champions we're getting. We know we're getting our usual event quest, but they are going to keep us busy next month. Love is a Battle Realm 3. Deadpool is back, and he wants the Battle Realm to fall in love with him. And we're going to be collecting Shattered Heart crystals, or Shattered Heart shards to get Shattered Heart crystals and Grandmaster crystals and special potions. So Deadpool is once again in the mood for love.
Yeah.
I love this event. I had so much fun with it
great.
last year. It's not super hard. You can go through it with ease. So, and I love events like this, where it's a good way to get quick and easy resources. And so I'm super pumped. Come for me, Deadpool. Like, let's do this.
Well, the 21-day arena is the thing that I find is not bizarre, but it's just...
It is curious.
Yeah, like, will it be a case that will have 21 days in the arena tab of this particular arena running for 21 days? And will there be like extensive milestones? Will it just be a case that you could do it in one day, but it lasts for 21 days? You don't have to do it on the day. So many questions.
It does. Like, it makes you wonder, especially for someone like me who does grind arena. I try to, grind all of the arenas unless I'm super busy. But they are a good way to get units and that sort of thing. But it makes me very curious. And I'm really hoping it's just a milestones arena, that there aren't any ranked rewards. So, I mean, like, I want to see what it's going to be all about. What is it for?
Right, and it says full of special loved themed teams. Like, what does that mean?
Well, that sounds very dirty.
It does.
Is it going to be something that's connected to the synergy, do you think?
I mean, I would assume we're going to be fighting all some sort of synergy teams, is the way I can see it. But I don't know. Are they all going to be like, is there going to be weird romance triangle themes going on with the teams? Like,
because there's three.
Yeah, you could take it so many different ways. So
it's gonna be great when it's like Namor, Sue Storm, and Reed Richards on the same team. Namor's just hanging out with his just friend synergy with Sue. So that could be interesting. It seems like a different format because normally we're either getting those random Thanos or Kang teams, or you're getting the teams submitted by the players. But this seems to be something that they're setting up.
Right. So are we going to be fighting like Cyclops, Phoenix, and Emma? Like, what's going to be happening with this? So, or are we just going to be fighting like the Holy Trinity or the Flaming Trinity, or So what is this going to be? What's it going to be like? I'm definitely interested in this. That is for sure. And
the tagline, obviously, as I said earlier, they said Deadpool's got a plan to guarantee someone to love him just in time for the season of seduction, and that was posted by Kabam. So.
Deadpool. I would argue Deadpool is the champion that they write the best out of anyone. Anytime Deadpool is showing up in an event quest, or there's dialogue back and forth, particularly between Deadpool and Venompool, or Deadpool and Gwenpool, they just clearly have a lot of fun with it. So I'm always up for more Deadpool, and Mojo is absolutely bonkers. If you haven't read any of the any comics where Mojo shows up, he is literally larger than life. He has an enormous ego. He is a true showman. So Mojo is another one that you can just turn up the insanity to 11 and just go nuts with from the dialogue perspective. So I'm very excited. Hopefully those two interact.
Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, they had this. I don't know if they had anything last year, 2019. They definitely had 2018. But there was a particular fight with Massacre. I can't remember if it was a case the one thing you had, like, don't go into a block. I think everything was ramped up. So if you got hit on the block, you basically lost your champion effectively. Not in one shot, but it was just like.
Oh yeah, it was that Massacre.
I hated that fight.
Yep.
Mainly because I had to concentrate too much on just intercepting and evading and stuff.
Yep. I remember that one. Yeah, that was the only real like one where you just wanted to be like, really?
They always have one for us.
There is always one for us. Yes.
Yep.
Also, we kind of alluded to the fact when we did the notes for the podcast that there's no side quest, and effectively the 21-day arena and the Lovers of Battle Realm side quest review is the side quest. So, bit weird if that's the case.
But you know what? I'm okay with that if that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot going on. And they one thing we didn't mention, they are adding extra Mojo-themed objectives.
Oh,
It's at the bottom of the notes. In Mojo's taking over 21-day Mojo versus Arena, full of love-themed teams. Complete these objectives and hit milestones. So I love objectives because you can do them at your own pace.
Yep.
And I think they're great for progressing summoners too.
They're very good for progressing summoners.
Yeah, I think that's really helped, and over the past year, you could see that they've really tried to do a lot more to allow newer players to catch up, and which is good because we want to keep the game going, and you always need new players. And I know one of the things I was surprised about when I started creating content and getting questions is you get questions like, is Blade good? And you're like, dude, are you trolling me? And they're like, I've been playing for 2 months. And you're like, oh, so you missed Blade Day. Let me let me go back in time for you, bud.
Well,
so it's good. It's good.
Kabam are kind of like going a bit kind of weird with their promotion. There's some stuff they're still not doing, and I know there's people that do want to kind of get this narrative to kind of push stuff like Prime Loot with like Amazon and Twitch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But also Kabam now, I think the last couple of months, have started promoting on TikTok, so they're really trying to get down with the kids. So, but if sometimes I do feel that they need to kind of get these new players. They need to do a bit more. And one criticism I did speak to Kabam about from New York Comic Con 2019 as my first ever experience was there was a lot of new players to the game, but they were just going up to the fights, testing it out, and then were thrashing away like they didn't know what they were doing. And I was thinking, well, that's a potential person to download the game, and they've just their takeaway is that, well, this game's too hard, I'm not going to play it.
Right, and I said this in a video at one point in time. Kabam has this YouTube channel, right? They've got the Marvel Contest of Champions YouTube channel, and they could really use that to their advantage. So when a new champion comes out, spotlight that champion, go over it from start to finish. And I think that would be a big help, so we could see kind of like what maybe failed and what maybe didn't, and what obviously what did not. And then also, like, it'd be a good way, because the forums, I feel like, can be very toxic. And I kind of don't really spend as much time as I should there. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, don't. This is my second home. I spend too much time on the forums.
But like, I feel like when they release patch notes or when they're releasing balancing updates, like they did for Call, Namor, Ebony Ma, Torch, and Annihilus, they could have done so much better by putting out a video, putting it on that channel for each of the individual champions and saying, like, look, this is what we know. We're going to be balancing X, Y. We're going to be balancing X because of Y, Z. Here is what is going to change. Now, what can you expect because of this change? Like, they have a real platform there that they could use, and I think it would give them kind of more of a transparency feel than I feel like a lot of the players don't feel like Kabam is being very transparent. And I think that if they would do something like that, I mean, they could put tutorials, here's a good mastery setup for people who are just downloading the game. So if you download the game, it automatically, you get that in your inbox. The first thing, here is how you can learn to parry, even though Dave has great videos on that. But like, here's how you can do this. Here's a good startup to your mastery setup. And I think that would kind of, well, maybe put a lot of us on the outs, but
I think there'd still be stuff to do, but
there would still be stuff to do, but it would be like kind of a better platform for them to get, and also to get newer players and to keep the players from quitting after like a week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And let's face it, the community has decided that YouTube is where they're going to go to learn about the game and get information about the game. That's the primary outlet for news in the game. We, for whatever reason, we adopted Line as our communication chat, and YouTube is the main source of news. I mean, that's why there's so many YouTubers now with, getting so many views and having so many subscribers, and you see, Seaton getting 15,000 people tuning on to an Abyss live stream. So like clearly, that's where the players are. And sometimes you have to just go to where your player base is. And I totally agree with you, Katy. It'd be great to see that more, because a forum post, even a well-written, knowledgeable forum post, is cold. Whereas having someone talk you through something with visual aids is a very, very different experience. And, one other thing you brought up about, when you get the new champions, you basically get this giant owner's manual, which is their description, and then you try to figure it out. When we're doing testing in the CCP, a lot of times the developer who actually designed the champion will jump in and we'll do a Q&A and say, all right, we tried XYZ. We're not getting what we think we should out of the champion. They'll be like, oh, well, try it this way. I designed him to do this, not that. And it's like, well, it's great that we're putting that in our videos, but wouldn't you want to hear that from the developer yourself?
Exactly.
Like in a video that says, hey, I'm Kabam, whatever. I designed Dr. Doom. I want him to do XYZ. I hope you try this. I hope you try that. I think he'll be good at this. I don't think he'll be good at that. I tested him here, and here. Like we'd eat that stuff up.
Oh, yeah. And I think, too, it would give a face to the people behind the scenes, and kind of, because I think a lot of people see Kabam as like a faceless company. So it would make them more personable, I want to say.
I mean, we've all been to Comic-Con, and Kabam Mike at Comic-Con is very different than Forum Kabam Mickey.
Yeah.
Like what was it? 2 years ago, Mike wasn't there this year, but he was there last year, and I had a 30-minute one-on-one conversation with Mike just about dungeons, and we were talking about danger rooms at the time because that was a thing, and how much we liked sort of the tuning of content specifically for 2 stars and 3 stars. And then it took a while, but years later we've got Variant 4, which is exactly the conversation that we had back then. Now I'm not saying that like that was like some idea that came up on the spot. Like
Dan
that had been
Variant 4, just calling out that Dan created Variant 4.
That is some solid misinformation on your part, Mr. RichTheMan. No, but it was like you could, we had these great conversations, and it was like that with talking to Gabe and definitely some other Kabam staff this year, Thel, and you're having these they are real people. I know they don't come off that way all the times on the forums, but they are real people that do want to have a conversation, and they do listen. It's just, it's hard. The community is so massive that, just because we write a forum post doesn't mean that's going in the game the next day.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. I think that's about it for. Yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. Katy, what can we expect from you as far as content the month of February?
Definitely going to be continuing probably the 6-minute series. I've got a couple champs in mind, so I got to narrow it down. And then also did Kabam do Long Shot and did Kabam do Mojo Justice videos, where I go over brief comic book history of them and relate them to how they are in the game. So once their abilities are leaked is usually when those videos come out. So
excellent.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I am going to be releasing a Ghost Rider champion guide sometime in the next day.
Nice.
So very excited to get that out. I know you featured him in your 6 minutes or less series.
Yes.
He was a hard champion to describe that quickly. I guess I can call my review Ghost Rider in 1,000 words or less. Because explaining all those judgments and how to cycle them does take a bit, but I think he's a great champion. As I put in the in the opening paragraph, Ghost Rider is more than just Blade's backpack. He has real uses. So let's give Johnny Blaze some credit. And other than that, I'm going to try to 100% 6.1 in the next month, and very much looking forward to Longshot and Mojo reviews. And in a couple weeks, I'm coming up on my 5-year anniversary in the contest. So going to be doing a 5-year account review, because my anniversary of MCOC is actually on Valentine's Day, because I am a tremendously romantic person and I downloaded a mobile game.
I don't know what that says for your relationship.
Day,
I don't know.
As a married man, I downloaded Marvel Contest of Champions on Valentine's Day. I am still married to the same person, so
excellent, thank God.
I guess you can balance the game life relationship. I've somehow proven it.
Good, yeah. What am I up to? I've got variants 2, 3, and 4 guides to do. I've got 6.1 to 100% by the end of this month, and then grind guides. So that's what I'm up to, as well as the Marvel Contest of Champions news and our growing podcast, which episode 4 potentially is going to be Kabam Mike and Kabam Thel.
Nice. I can't wait to listen
very
to that.
excited.
We're just finalizing the questions, and then
much looking forward to having them on and getting to ask some questions to those guys about what's going on in the game right now. So hopefully everyone will tune in. I think it's going to be super interesting to go back and forth with them.
Yeah, it's going to be quite spicy as well.
I know. I've been thinking. I am going to ask Mike if what we as a community will get if I can convince you not to make another video about 5-star Scarlet Witch for the next 2 months. Like what, Mike? What is that worth to you? Let me know.
I mean, I'm even like, the final one is probably going to be something like Kabam Mike confirms we are never ever going to get a 5-star Scarlet Witch, and this title is really long because I'm not doing any more bloody videos on it. That and the gift.
Right. And it's all RichTheMan's fault. And you'll never get 5-star Wolverine just out of spite because he knows how much you adore Wolverine.
Oh, that is going to be a thing. Right. Okay, that has been the podcast. Katy, and on that note, thank you very much for being our second ever guest on our third ever episode.
Thank you for having me, Rich and Dan. I really appreciate it, guys.
And links.
Thank you.
And links to Katy's content can be found in the bios and in the description. Dan, as always, my glamorous co-host. We can be finding him on the links in the description. Frontline MCOC. Follow on Twitter, and obviously make sure that you've bookmarked the blog as well. Thank you as always, my friend.
Thank you for having me, and for continuing to call me glamorous. I appreciate it and look forward to hearing those words every week now. Brilliant. So never change.
I won't indeed. Okay. Thank you everybody for listening in on the podcast. It is available on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and now iTunes. And thanks for episode 3. See you in a very exciting and spicy episode 4. Bye-bye.